I'm Jasmine, the founder of Katharos Foods, and I wanted to introduce on this World Environment Day Pareen Sachdeva. She's doing her PhD in Development Studies from Tata Institute of Social Studies. She's also an environmentalist and an animal rights activist. She's also the India lead for climate healers, and she's gone to various cities and various schools and colleges and given loads of lectures on how to save the environment through a vegan lifestyle. Welcome, Pareen, to this show today.
Thank you.
And I wanted to first start by asking you, can you tell us a little about, how did you reach where you are today? What was your vegan journey like? How did it start? How many years has it been? Just give us a brief walkthrough of what has it been like for you to reach here today.
Sure. So I used to be environmentally conscious always. I used to have a habit of checking labels and, making sure what I was putting on my body and inside my body was the best possible that I could get. So yeah, I always had that habit.
Can completely
But
relate to it. I do that too.
yeah, yeah, right. So about 3 years ago, when I went to Mumbai for when I joined my program, I I was looking to get a little fitter because I was staying away from home and I didn't want to fall into unhealthy habits and eating out and eating unhealthy. So I started researching, and I'm a researcher by heart and by profession. So naturally, I started researching on ways to get healthier and fitter.
Okay.
And so I came upon a lot of research, and the majority of it was through the PCRM, which is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
Okay.
So these are medical doctors who are
Okay.
standing up for health.
Wow.
Uh, what they're talking about is that modern medicine is only tackling symptoms.
Correct.
It's not really looking into what is causing the diseases that we have, right?
The root cause.
And exactly,
How do you
exactly. So that
prevent it in the first place rather than, just take medicines later for it?
absolutely, absolutely. And even the medicines we're taking are to tackle the symptoms.
Right.
We're
Right.
not really getting rid of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are real doctors who are standing up for the health of the people.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, so that really touched me. And then there was a lot of evidence-based research that I came upon. And I must have read for a good 2 months, I think, before I
Wow.
decided that I was going to go whole food plant-based.
Okay. And
And
how did you make a
before this,
change? Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So before this, I was 100% non-vegetarian.
Okay.
A meal would not be complete without meat, eggs, or
Meat.
dairy.
Wow.
In
Okay.
fact, my idea of a healthy plate was, having meat or eggs
For your
and a whole bunch
protein.
of veggies. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a whole
I
bunch of veggies. So even then, so I feel like I was getting something right that I was at least eating my vegetables. But it was a whole 180 after I did my research and I made the decision that I was going to go whole food plant-based. And back then, 3 years back, I knew about the concept of veganism,
hmm.
but I felt that, it was a little absurd or a little extreme. And that's why whenever, somebody is curious and whenever somebody approaches me, I never would judge them or think that then, they're not thinking because I was in that place a
Okay.
few years
Uh,
back. So I
That's
completely
nice.
understand.
Yep.
But I also, firmly believe that once you get to know the facts, and even then, if you're not changing yourself, then it's entirely on your conscience.
Was it one
So,
big thing that made you change reading one big news item or one big research item in the papers or in the physicians committee, or was it just overall that you decided to uh,
yeah, so
change
it
your
was
lifestyle?
one really big thing that, uh, there were some concerns about PCOS that I had, and I started having them when I thought this was about 6 years, 6, 7 years back, I think, that I thought I was not healthy. So I started drinking milk. I was not fond of milk earlier, but then I started drinking 2 whole mugs of milk every
Oh
day,
my
thinking
God.
that
Oh
I
my
would
God.
be healthier.
Okay.
And and yeah, and then 3 years back when I read all of this, and then there's a study. It's a cross-sectional study. It shows that countries which have a higher rate of milk and dairy consumption
Hmm.
have a higher rate of osteoporosis.
Right.
Yeah? And if the very thing that you're consuming to make your bones healthy is breaking your bones, then that is a cause for concern.
Like the US and UK, which consume a lot of milk, especially US, I think, consumes
Yes,
a lot of milk.
yes, yes, and
Right.
even Scandinavian and a lot of European countries.
Trees consume a lot of milk. I agree with you. So, how did you? So, did you make changes in small bits to your lifestyle? Did you go big bang? 3 years back, probably there were not too many vegan brands available in the market.
Yeah,
Many people
yeah.
didn't even know what the word vegan was. I remember when I heard it maybe 5 or 6 years back, what was vegan? I thought I heard it wrong. I thought that person meant vegetarian and she said
Yeah.
vegan by mistake. But I didn't have the guts
Yeah.
to ask what vegan was. I just pretended I knew.
Yeah, it was quite the same thing for me. I didn't have the guts to tell people that I was vegan. Firstly, because there were so many questions, and secondly, until I had read thoroughly, I felt like I wasn't equipped with enough information to
Hmm.
share and to inform people in this.
Okay.
So until I was firm in myself, I did not tell anyone, except for my parents and a few close friends, of course. Uh, because the questions were quite repetitive, and I felt that if I don't have the complete information, then the people are not going to benefit either. The people who talk to me and who are curious, who may be genuinely curious, not just for
Hmm.
the sake of arguing, but people who are genuinely curious about something that I've done.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, so for the longest time, I did not tell anybody that I was vegan. I was a closeted vegan, as I like to say.
You were just avoiding all the confrontations that you would face. I can
Yeah.
imagine. I face that too when I go for dinner parties.
Yeah, yeah. But now it's a whole different ball game. It's completely different. Like, a lot of my friends, they'll feel guilty. I mean, I don't want you to feel guilty, and you don't have to say sorry to me. They completely understand, but you have to have that a little bit of strength that you have to gather and the courage
Right.
to go against the stream because it's not common. But right now, as you said, it's a whole lot easier to go vegan now that there are so many brands, giving so many alternatives. Like when I turned vegan,
Right.
there weren't many alternatives, so I just stopped and I went cold turkey. It was big bang. So when I decided after completing my research, when I decided that I was going to go vegan, I just did it. My mom wants to My mom wants to join, so she's telling me, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to
So,
elaborate a little bit about, sorry,
mhm,
do you want to elaborate a little bit about your research on how veganism helps the environment? Just a few points for newcomers who may be listening right now. What's the impact that
absolutely,
actually is on the environment?
absolutely. So, at the moment, the environment, not just in India but across the globe, really needs a stronghold. Uh, as environmentalists, we're confused what to do. Of course, we need to do, work at the ground, on ground. That's very important. But right now, what is happening in the environmental movement? We talk about carbon,
Hmm.
but it's just carbon dioxide that we're talking about. Whereas there are a lot of gases, a lot of greenhouse gases that are responsible for global warming and ultimately climate change. and all of the environmental problems. Now, first, I really want to clear a point of confusion that a lot of people have. Climate change is one environmental problem that we're facing, and there are many environmental
Okay.
problems that we're facing. There is global warming, there's climate change, there is habitat loss, there is a mass extinction that we are in the middle of, there is ocean acidification, all of these things, there is waste management, all of these things, they're big problems that we're facing. And in fact, unfortunately, our environmental movement is really centered on climate change at the moment. Now, I'm not saying that it's not important. It is very important. It is really important that we contain, the global rise of the temperatures within the coming few years if we want to revert,
Right.
a climate crisis. If we want
Hmm.
to stop a climate crisis, it's really
Yeah, of course.
important. But there are a plethora of environmental challenges that we're facing. And there is one industry that is at the center of all of it, and that is the animal farming industry, the
Okay.
animal agriculture industry. Now, this is when we're using animals for food, when we're using them for clothing, when we're using them for our entertainment, for transport, and of course for research and development, when we're testing, for our beauty products or any kind of products or food products on animals. So
Right.
all of these comprise the animal farming industry.
So I think
And
animal farming
globally,
industry, yeah, takes up some X amount
mhm,
of water. I've read that somewhere.
yeah, exactly. Yes. So a third of all of the land resources that are available to us, and a third of all of the freshwater resources that are available to us, are being used up by the animal farming industry.
Wow, one third
Okay.
is a lot.
So, yep, one third. For what? For 2 minutes of taste. We're using up one third of our land and water resources that we have available to us. To bring this into perspective, to make to produce a liter of milk, to produce
Hmm.
a liter of cow or buffalo milk, we require about 1,000 liters of water. What would that translate into? If you were taking, a bucket bath or a quick shower of say about 50 liters of water, which is, if you were taking about a 3 to 4 minute shower, that would be about
Okay.
50 liters of water.
Okay.
Okay. So you would have to sacrifice 20 of such showers, such
Shower.
quick showers, if you wanted to offset the impact, the water impact of 1 liter of milk.
Milk. Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
that is a whole lot.
So,
Yeah.
Fareen, how did you, so what do you do for climate healers? I think you go and talk to a lot of students in schools and colleges. Can you elaborate a little bit there?
Yes.
And if there are any students, or if people in general who are interested, how in contributing, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So we go and conduct educational seminars at schools, colleges, and also at community organizations.
Okay.
In the past 3 quarters, we've reached almost 3,000 youth,
Wow.
and a lot of them have become activists. And that
Okay.
is what we need at the moment. We need people to rise up, stand up, and make their voices heard. And not just for the animals, not just for climate change, but for the very selfish reason of your own life and the life of your future generations. Because, no matter how much money you leave your kids, no matter how much property you leave your kids, the fight in the future is going to be for water and for air to breathe. Right
Water.
now, we're able to breathe, without an oxygen cylinder. And if we want to continue that, then we really need to take stock of uh, all of the developments that we've made in the past 100 years. Our populations have grown manifold, our technologies have grown manifold. We can transport ourselves from one corner of the world to another in a matter of hours. You're sitting in you're sitting in Mumbai, I'm sitting in Delhi, and we're talking here, and people across the world are listening to us right now.
Yep.
We've
Wow.
made all of that possible. But then, if we're still in shambles thinking about how we can work on our environment, then it's not a question of technology, it's also a question of conscience. So
Just
it's
take
not
for
that we don't have
yeah.
the technology.
Just take, for example, the storm that we had in Mumbai, 2 days back, Nisarga. It was a mild one, but that was the first one Mumbai experienced in what, more than 100 years. But for the next generation, probably that it will become a very common thing to see storms. And I personally don't think we'll have any shorelines with these beautiful sea-facing houses that you have in Mumbai remaining, because there will be water up to 2 floors or 3 floors, and I think
Indeed.
that's a reality today with climate change happening. You have your sea levels rising.
Yeah, the earth is reclaiming herself.
Yep.
Nature is reclaiming herself. In fact, this year's theme for World Environment Day is Time for Nature.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to really think that, we're not separate from nature. When we're talking, when we're talking about addressing climate change and the other environmental issues that we have, uh, we're thinking of nature as separate from us, when in fact it's not. We're a part of the environment that we live in, just like all the other species. The plants that are giving us oxygen, the animals that are keeping ecosystems alive, they're all playing their role. Have I lost you? Okay.
That's what I tell most of my friends who have kids, what kind of a world are you going to leave behind for your next generation? They, instead of going to school and going to work, they will be grappling with maybe a flood below the building, and they won't even be able to reach their school or colleges or their office spaces. And you really need to think about what are you going to leave behind for your next generation other than a fancy house and a car. Can you hear me,
Exactly,
Parin? The
exactly.
connection on your end is a little poor. That's what
Yes,
I'm getting a message.
yes,
Can
yes.
you?
I heard
Okay.
everything. I couldn't see you clearly, but everything.
Okay, great. So that brings me to the next question. What was your experience interacting with the younger generation, with the students in schools and colleges? What took you by surprise? Did anybody ask you a really shocking question, which put you on the seat? How do they accept the whole veganism for environment? How open are they to the whole concept when you there and give a speech? Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, the response from students has been phenomenal. Like, uh, kids, students, they're the most perceptive. As we grow up,
Hmm.
we tend to, keep our blinders on tighter and tighter.
Because yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But the kids don't have those yet. And that's why it's the perfect time
Hmm.
to address them and to educate them and to inform them so that they can make the right decisions. So my goal when I go and address students is not to, make them do something, but it's just to empower them with the information that they need, empower them with facts, and yeah. So I remember, so there was this time in Goa, and they were class 4 and 5 students, I think. And
Oh, how
after the
sweet.
session, uh, all of the students, the teachers left, and that's when the kids, came even more alive. Even though it was an interactive session, and the kids, they were so excited, like throughout the session, they would raise their hands, yes, ma'am, I will answer the question, and they were so engaging. And then afterwards, they all gathered around and they said, ma'am, I want to go vegan. And word before. So it's been phenomenal with students, and I want to keep working with students.
Is there a message that you would like to give the next generation, or just in general for everybody on this topic today? Is there any message that you would like to
Yes,
give them?
yes. So, coming back to the theme of nature and going vegan, and actually widening our circle of compassion to
Hmm.
include all beings, all living, breathing beings on the planet.
Oh, nice.
So I want everyone to remember that compassion for all life is infinitely sustainable, and it is a system, that has compassion at the basis of it, that is going to help us avert any kind of a crisis in future, and that is going to help us step into a new world, especially post COVID. It is only when we exercise our inner compassion and when we come home to ourselves, to our true nature, that we can actually make something out of the world that we're living in today. And to that end, Dr. Sailesh Rao, who's the founder of Climate Healer. So I'll tell you a little about Dr. Rao.
Okay.
Uh, he is uh, he is an IIT Madras graduate and a PhD from Stanford, and he is one of the original engineers of the internet. So the gigabit Ethernet that we use today to connect the internet, thanks to him that we
Wow.
have that. And 10 years back, yeah, he was working on enhancing the model, bringing up a newer, fresher model and a 10 times faster internet connection
Yeah.
than what we have today. And then he watched Al Gore's presentation about the environmental crisis. And he said that if even 10% of what he was saying was true, then anything else that we work on is useless unless we address the environmental crisis.
Wow.
And so, this systems engineer, and he switched his career and he devoted his life to saving the environment. And then his granddaughter was born, and she raised a very simple question. If animals are our family, why are we eating our family? Why is mom eating my family? Then she started naming her friends. Why is so and so eating my family? Why am I eating my family?
Wow.
Yeah, and she burst into tears, and then, he ended up making her a pinky promise that by the time she turned 16, the world would be a kinder place.
Oh, how nice.
So
Wow.
that's how this project was born, the Vegan World 2026 project. And Dr. Rao's latest white paper is also about that, a vegan
Okay.
world, a post-COVID world, how we can usher a compassionate world, and what kind of systems we're going to need for that world. So not just the food systems, not just a plant-based food system, that would be the basis of it, of course, but then the economic systems, the medical systems, healthcare, so there are a bunch of sociologists, scientists, economists, uh, educators, all working together on an online forum that we have,
Okay.
and we're all trying to create a prototype for a kind of less environmentally dreadful world.
Hats off to you guys for doing that. Thank you for saving the environment. Uh, I have one more question for you. Do
Mhm.
you, so if today, first someone, say someone like me or a student wants to do something about the environment and veganism, what's the first thing they should do? Should they get on to the Climate Healers website and get
Mhm.
more information, or is there something else? Can you just, guide our fellow listeners here?
Absolutely. So if you are a reader, go on to the Climate Healers website And there are 3 books that Dr. Rao has written. Under the books section, you're going to find the books. So the first one is called Carbon Dharma, in which he explains how he got onto the movement. Carbon Yoga, he explains how we can actually work on everything that he has explained in Carbon Dharma. And then there's this new one called Meet the Meritocracy. So where we're talking about how the major corporates are shaping the world that we live in, and how
Wow.
the real fight is against the system. It's not against a person or a group of people, no. It is against an oppressive system.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's why we need to change the very parameters of the system. And that's how we can have a better world. Like right now, you're working for money. You're doing a job for someone so you can have food on your plate.
Right.
That's not how it should be. So that's what. So if
Thanks.
you're a reader, go onto the website, read the books, and read the white papers. If you would rather watch a film that brings all of the facts together for you, then the best film, the best documentary you need to watch today is Cowspiracy. So not conspiracy, Cowspiracy. It's
Yes.
available to watch on Netflix, or you can log on to the website cowspiracy.com and you can watch the documentary. It's a 90-minute full-length documentary, and your mind will be blown.
I've seen it. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So, in times of COVID now, with travel which is stopped, etc., are you guys planning on doing some interactive sessions over Zoom or on Insta to educate the general public and continue with your mission via climate healers? Is there
Yes,
something in store for the viewers to look forward to in the near future?
yes, definitely. So in India, we've already done some sessions with 2 schools, and uh, and we're working on having more sessions. It's the summer break now, so we're trying to incorporate it in summer activities for the students with the environmental curriculum, so that we can include that for the students. Other than that, Dr. Rao just concluded his global Pinky Promise tour. So it was planned to be a US and Canada tour
Okay.
through April through June. But with the situation prevailing, it was decided to move it online, and then it ended up becoming a global tour.
Oh, great.
So
So it's going to be
yeah,
on soon sometime in the coming months.
so it's still ongoing. There are some events, a couple of events happening each month,
Okay.
and on the YouTube channel, it's called Vegan World 2026.
Okay.
On that YouTube channel, you can get all of the recordings of the meetings that we have at Climate Healers, so you can feel yourself if you want to participate. So this group is not exclusionary. You can just log on to Basecamp, where hundreds of people, hundreds of us are all together discussing everything. You can log on to Basecamp and see everything that's going on, participate in anything that you want, contribute any way you like. Even if you don't think contribute right now, you'll get to learn a lot by seeing what
Basecamp
everyone
is
else is
on
doing.
Climate Healers website. What is Basecamp? Basecamp is on your
So
Climate
Basecamp
Healers
is a
website.
software.
Okay.
Basecamp is an online software.
Okay.
It has a mobile app and it has a desktop website.
Okay.
And so what you have to do is, the moment you log on to Climate Healers website, you'll get
Okay.
a pop-up that says join us. And if you want to
Okay.
join us, you can click on that and fill the Google form that comes along with it. So
Okay.
you will fill your interests. So if you're an educator, or if you're a vegan business, or if you can provide infrastructure for vegan events, or if you can do a screening, whatever you like,
Get it.
you can just mark whatever, is of interest to you. It will take about 5 to 10 minutes because it's quite comprehensive.
Okay.
And and then you'll get the credentials to join Basecamp. And of course, all of the recorded meetings are on YouTube. So go to the Vegan World
Oh, great.
2026 YouTube and you can watch the meetings.
Okay. Great. So after this session, I'm going to save the video and post it. Pareen, once
Mm-hmm.
I post it in the comments, please write these important
Definitely.
points about where people can find this information and the white papers written by Dr. Sailesh, etc. So one last question to you: Do you face any challenges on a day-to-day? Not on a day-to-day, but overall, maybe when you're, advocating veganism, environment, or talking about via climate healers to the audience. What are your typical challenges that you face, and how do you encounter those?
Hmm. Mostly, even in my couple years of activism, there's been a stark difference. Earlier, you had to explain what vegan meant.
Hmm. Now you don't. Yes.
Now you don't.
Yeah.
But the challenge now is that people tend to have a lot of notions attached to veganism now.
Okay.
Uh, so now you don't have to explain what veganism is, but you need to explain to people what it is not. So it is, right? So what is veganism? It is just trying your best to exclude anything, any product that comes from an animal, right? And why
Right.
do you do that? You do that because that is a living, breathing being that suffers when you're using them. A living, breathing being that loves their child just like we do,
Yes.
that, has friends and plays with their friends just like we do. Whether it is a cat or a dog or a cow or a pig or a zebra or a horse, they're all alike. They're
I
all
agree.
alike in their ability to love and in their ability to feel pain. So it is not justifiable for us to use them for our benefit. And that is all. Okay. Now it has additional benefits to our own health and to the environment.
Hmm.
And those are great things. But veganism is about letting the animals be and understanding
Indeed.
that the animals are here with us, they're not for us.
Yes, I think what happened recently in Kerala to the elephant, I think her name was Soumya, was really heartbreaking.
Hmm.
And seeing the number of messages people posted and seeing on change.org the petition signed gave me
Yeah.
some hope that, people are sensitive and maybe things will change. Apparently,
Yes.
there are many elephants in Kerala who are going through a bad system that they have in place there. So, well, let's hope things are changing for the better.
Indeed. Yeah, this has really shown that people are sensitive. All that is left to do is connect the dots,
Right. And
you
your
know?
talks to the people will always help. Thank you again.
I
I'll
hope
say on
so.
behalf of the old world for trying to do your two bits for saving. It's a big deal to, remove time from your personal life to, to help save the environment and have these conversations with different people. I'll,
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
think the audience has asked a few questions.
Okay, sure.
I'll just see what those are. I have some help
Hmm.
in someone putting them together.
Okay, sure.
Um, there's someone asking, how did you feel converting from whole food plant-based physically and your medical statistics? Did you, how well did you feel doing that?
Yeah. So I was slightly plump. Uh, and that's why I was doing all the research to get fitter and to try and
Hmm,
gain some
hmm,
muscle.
hmm.
And I was able to achieve that.
I know what you
Uh,
mean. I
yeah.
exercise a lot and I used to fluctuate through the year, the beginning
Yeah.
of January, early January, I usually used to be 5, 7 kgs overweight, then I would lose it. Then again, after by Q3, I would put on that weight again. But my
Hmm.
fluctuation just completely stopped. Now I'm like
That's amazing.
the same throughout the year.
That's amazing because the food we eat has a lot to do with how our hormones are synthesized as well. And they have a role to play in how we look and how we feel and how our body reacts to everything. So when you stop putting in additional toxins through food and food-like substances, it has a very big role to play. And my acne cleared out, my hair became healthier. It's like my hair grew like super long. Okay, it was
Wow.
almost up to my hip.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm not saying that you should go whole food plant-based for this, but these are the benefits that you are, going to see depending on
See.
your body and depending on,
Right.
yeah, and it could take any amount of time. It's not that, you do it for 2 weeks or 2 months and if you do not get the desired results, don't give up. It's still,
Right.
it's still, primarily the best way to eat.
There is somebody who's asking, how good is it for vegetarians to become a vegan? Does it make a difference?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, lacto-vegetarian is basically you're having vegan food and taking dairy, so milk, paneer, ghee, cheese,
Curd.
butter, chas, curd, all of these things. Now, the great thing is that you can make all of the things that I just listed from plants. In fact, and you are the best example of that. Hey,
Yes.
you were making feta cheese from almonds.
Yes.
How amazing is that?
With lots of
How amazing.
protein. So why do you need to have cow's milk, which is
Yeah,
again
it has
also pumped with hormones and pesticides and
exactly,
chemicals and pus? It has
exactly.
pus.
You're getting more protein, more calcium, minus all of the nasties, and you're
Yes.
not hurting an animal, and you're not wasting environmental resources. There is really nothing better when you think about it. So yeah, it's going to help your
Yes.
health and the environment. Yes, so it's great if you're vegetarian and you decide to quit dairy. Yeah.
Thanks,
And if
Pareen.
you need resources or help about how to go on making, vegan milk, vegan curd, and you can just DM me, and all of the recipes are there, and I'll share them with you.
Great. Aditya and Pooja, just congratulating you. They saying you inspire them a lot. Uh,
Thank you. You guys
Prathina
inspire me.
and Prathina says, good speech, Pareen.
Thank
Uh,
you.
there's somebody asking, do you recommend reading any papers that would help them, that help them educate themselves better?
Absolutely. So I can share a report with you that is talking about the impact of animal agriculture with respect to the Indian statistics. So I can share that with you. And then there's this incredible website that has been developed by a Canadian doctor. He's a Canadian doctor of Indian origin. It's called plantbaseddata.org. So thousands of evidence-based studies that they have cataloged, as per the theme, and you just log onto the website and it's all there at your doorstep. So it's amazing. I'll
Great.
link everything in the
Yes,
comments
please
below.
do. Once I post the video, please do that. It will really help, including me. I'm going to read some of these papers which I haven't read. Somebody's asked, Urvi's asked, can we volunteer with climate healers? I think you've talked about it. Go on the website and a pop-up will come and then you put in your
Yes,
interest and do that.
yes.
Kavita's asking, proud of you. No, she's telling you, proud of you, Pareen, for standing up for what you
Thank you.
believe in.
Thank
Um, Aditya saying veganism is mainstream in the West. We have a lot of catching up. We are we are closeted. He's saying. He's just made a comment. Um,
you.
I don't know if you want to add something here.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, well, it has become mainstream in the West. It's been going on there for long. But we need to understand that the origin of this very concept that it's based on, ahimsa, is a
right.
very Eastern concept. So we're just a little disconnected, and it's really about coming home to ourselves. And we are
I
doing
know.
that. People like you and yeah,
Um,
we're doing that.
Someone's asked, how do we leverage youth? Is What is it more that we can do? And then someone's also asked, dairy is important in India. It is right from day one. Our mothers, the minute you're born, you're like, have milk, have milk. You'll get
Yeah,
taller and smarter and fitter.
yeah,
So it's just the first thing I think the milk is the biggest deal in India. And you tell a mother, especially, or a family, eliminate milk. I have a friend who has two kids, boys, 3 and 5, and they had some digestion issues. So I told them the first thing you do is eliminate the milk just for a month and see how they feel. Do they feel healthier? They have some allergies. But the whole concept of eliminating milk,
yeah,
especially from a child, is just unheard of. It's like being cruel, that you're not giving them milk.
yeah.
So, and this person, you're saying that you need to create, how do we create more awareness, is what they are asking.
Okay. So many parts to this question. I'll address each of those. First, about giving milk to children. Milk is meant only for children, not for adults. Okay. When does an animal produce milk? A female animal produces milk when they have a baby, and their body produces it to help the baby grow. Now, the
Hmm.
composition of the milk of different mammals is different. The amount of protein and calcium and other nutrients that are there in a human's milk is vastly different from that in a cow's milk. A calf is going to be up and about on its feet within 24 hours of being born and it'll start running. It's
Yes.
designed to make a
Yes.
50 kg calf into a 500 kg cow or bull.
Yes.
Now
In a very
imagine
short
feeding
time.
that, yeah, in a very short span, in a matter of months. Imagine you're feeding that every day, mugs full at times, to your human baby who doesn't even stand up for a whole year. And now this calf growth fluid is being fed to a human baby, and you know about cases of early puberty in children. We all know
Yes.
about the growing disease burden of India.
Yes.
India, with such a vast majority of vegetarians and a majority of dairy consumers. And which are the major diseases that we're having? We have heart disease, we have diabetes, we have
Diabetes.
obesity, we have cardiovascular problems, hypertension.
Yes.
These are the major killers in India, and they are all linked to animal product consumption.
I
So your
completely
milk
agree
and
with
your
you.
meat.
Meat. I completely agree.
Yeah, and when it comes to feeding your kids milk, there are many. So just try to remember, were you forced to drink that glass of milk, or did you readily ask for that glass of milk with added sugar and Bonvita or whatever was being added to
Yes.
it?
Or ruafza to make it pink in color so it looks more
Yeah,
attractive. I used to go and throw
yeah,
it down the window, and then my mom used to catch me
me
that
too.
I've thrown it down the window,
Me
and she would see
too.
it so lying on the parapet. So I think, yeah, as kids, I don't think any kid likes
Yeah,
milk. They're forced to like it, and then over a period of
indeed.
time, you get used to having it.
Yeah, and then we get addicted because it has lactose, and milk is supposed to have lactose to to keep the baby coming back for the milk. It is addictive. So when the child feels hungry, the milk is what they will reach for. That is why milk has lactose. And as we grow older, we stop having that enzyme lactase that is needed to process this, and
Hmm.
so we all become lactose intolerant.
Yes.
Half of our country is lactose intolerant, and that is how it should be because milk is not for adults.
And they don't even know that they're lactose intolerant. Most people
Yeah,
don't know they're lactose
yeah,
intolerant.
yeah, because the symptoms are so common, like you'll have a diarrhea or gas, or you'll have mucus in your throat, but you will never attribute it to dairy,
Yes.
when in fact that is what is causing it.
Yep. Most people run to the loo after having the morning chai. They don't realize that has to do with the
Yeah,
milk.
yeah.
So another Ruchika's mentioned proud of both of you. Thank you, Ruchika.
Mm.
Um, it's just one person, Kavita, who's asked, is it expensive to make cheese? Is it expensive to make cheese from almonds, cashews? Don't come. They are not cheap, basically. What's your take? If I may answer
I
this
think
for
you
a
are the right
minute.
person to answer this. Yeah.
You can make cheese, Kavita, from different ingredients. If you don't want to use almonds or cheese, you can make cheese from potato. You can make cheese from legumes, from lentils. Just Google, and there are tons of recipes available on the net. Another thing that I always look at when people say, "Oh, you're having organic food or you're having nuts which are more expensive," I'm saying I'm saving my medical bills now by eating healthier so that I don't have these huge medical bills when I get older or even now. You know, when you have these lifestyle diseases which starts from right from blood pressure to diabetes, which is really, really common. Just avoid that by making sure what you intake in your body is healthy, and just eat right and exercise right. And I don't think all vegan food is expensive. It's just a question of researching a little on the net and figuring out the substitutes, or you know learning how to cook vegan. It takes a little bit of an effort. So my personal 2 cents on my experience, how I did that was I started really small from step one. Like I just probably on day one, I just changed the salt in my house from iodized salt to a pink Himalayan salt. I made small changes. Then I changed my breakfast, started with smoothies, and so slowly and steadily, I changed different meals. I didn't try and do everything on day one because there's so much information available on the net, and there are so many recipes. Where do you start? So start small, in small bits, and there are also scientific reasons about not mixing your some certain types of fruits, etc. So read about it and educate yourself. That always helps.
Yeah.
Do you
I
want to add
I
something?
conf- I absolutely love the idea that, you can make cheese from anything. Many things, okay? Not anything, but many things. And yeah, potato and carrot is one of my favorite budget cheese recipes. It's
Yes,
it's so delicious, and even if you put a little bit of cashews, you'll still get the flavor and you'll get a very nice consistency.
thick
And
consistency.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Like I've shared my favorite recipe on my page. It's in my highlights. You can find it. But it's amazing what all you can do with just plants. You can make 100 kinds of different milks. Then why would you run after that one kind? That is not
Yeah.
meant for you.
Just recently, I saw milk being made from muskmelon seeds.
Oh
Usually I was just
yeah,
cutting muskmelon today, and I usually throw the seeds. So I'm like, should I throw the seeds? I can make milk with it because I just saw the video. I think Vanita had put
yeah.
up the video. I'm like, oh, should
Oh,
I throw them? I'll save it for later. So there's tons you can
it's
do, but there's
really
so much that
fantastic.
you can't
Yeah,
do it all. So the bottom line is you
yeah,
can't do it all, and you do it
yeah.
in baby steps as much as you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, definitely. I made kheer with melon seed milk the other day,
Oh
and it
wow.
turned out wonderfully. Like all I had to do was not cook it after adding the milk. So I cooked the rice really nice in water and a little bit of soy milk.
Okay.
And then I simmered it and I put the melon seed milk and I only cooked it on low for a couple more minutes. And add any cardamom, kesar, whatever you want to add, and it was so delicious.
Wow, I'm
Definitely
going to
try
try
it.
this and not throw
Yeah,
the melon seeds next
yeah,
time.
yeah,
There's a lot of work in the kitchen, so at times I'm like, okay, need a shortcut. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So thank you, Pareen, for today's session. I don't think we have any more questions. Is there anything that you would like to add before we end this session?
Well, I'll just say it again. Compassion for all life is infinitely sustainable. Just always remember that there is always something you can do for someone else, and there is always something that is, bigger than us, and that is what we're working for. So,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pareen. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for joining us and for your questions. See you
Thank you.
later.
Thank you for
Thanks. Bye,
having
Pareen.
me.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.